everyone reporting to camp. Steve Phillips, good morning to you. And it works for us because we get fresh sound from front offices. The latest from David Stearns on Pete Alonso's future. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, a player of his caliber, able and entitled to test the market. You heard it. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I think he is going to test the market. It's Scott Boras representing him. They're distance away in any negotiation where they see the value. Scott Boras and Alonso are looking at an Aaron Judge type deal, thinking that Alonso is to the Mets what Aaron Judge is to the Yankees. I understand the argument. And what the Mets are saying is, well, Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson are making $160, $170 million, not $360 million. And so the gap is so significant that if David Stearns, I think, is resigned to the fact that Alonso is going to go out and test the market. And when he does, the Yankees will, or the Mets will want to be in on it. But here's the thing. I don't look at the Mets as a playoff team. They should trade Pete Alonso right now, get what they can for him, and then sign him when he goes to free agency when they're better poised to be a playoff contender in 2025. So I don't know. It's probably too deep into the offseason to do it. Teams have spent money. Teams have put together some issues on the roster. But I still think that if not now, then at the trade deadline, the Mets should trade Alonso, let him go to free agency, try to sign him back when the market says here's his value, which probably won't be the Aaron Judge money. And then you end up getting the prospects to play along with him moving forward. It's the right thing to do for the organization.
And maybe some news in a couple months' time. David handled it well, by the way. And you know media members constantly asking him about his future. Hey, Steve, Matt said it yesterday on the show about the Giants, that he feels like they're having a better offseason than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Jorge Soler giving them some pop to that lineup. How would you assess their offseason?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Jung-Hoo Lee, look, they were in on Bellinger, and the asking price was too high, so they pivoted and went to Jung-Hoo Lee coming over from Korea. He's a guy that can really defend in the outfield. We'll see how he can hit, but he does get on base. He does make contact, doesn't strike out a lot. They needed Soler. They've not had a 30-homer right-handed hitter since 2003. Jeff Kent did it. Last year, the guy with the most home runs for them is Wilmer Flores, who hit 23. They need right-handed power, and they get legitimate power. And Soler is not just a power bat. He had a 341 on base percentage last year. Now, you know, look, he's 32. They gave him a 3-year deal. I'm still okay with it. He takes care of his body, and so I think that it's the right move. Now, go get Matt Chapman to play third base, and then run prevention is improved, run production is improved. And, you know, they're going to need their pitching to hold the fort down until they get Robbie Ray back, until they get Alex Cobb back. I would love to see them get Mike Clevenger, Hyun-Jin Ryu, guys who really are pretty good early in the season and might run out of gas late. Well, if they run out of gas late, you're getting the other guys back for the second half of the season. But I'm with Matt. I do think the Giants don't have the big splash, but they're improving for sure.
You talk Jorge to Matt Chapman. Does the Soler news have any trickle-down effect for other bats? Like, in other words, are we closer to finding J.D. Martinez a home because of that news?
Yeah, I'm worried for J.D. Martinez. I played 119 games, hit 33 homers, drove in 103 runs. Why is he still out there right now? Now, you know, Arizona was tied to him early, but they went with Jock Peterson instead because they're going to, you know, platoon him and Gabby Moreno a little bit. When Moreno's not catching, he can be the right-handed bat with Peterson. And then you heard, you know, okay, the Mets are in on him, but if they're in on him, why aren't they getting him signed? There doesn't seem anybody they're competing with. The Giants can't sign him now. The Blue Jays considered J.D. Martinez, but they went with Justin Turner as their DH. The Red Sox are going to move, Masataka Yoshida to the DH role. So I don't know what's left for him. I think he'd be a great option for the Cincinnati Reds. Like, I'd love him to be a veteran hitter. They need a veteran presence with all those young hitters there to teach those guys how to hit the major league level. But I think right now the only team that really seems linked to him is the Mets.
Who signs next, Steve? And as time ticks away with so many free agents, which side does it benefit more? Is that a dumb question?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. Here's the thing. I think, you know, you've got Snell, Montgomery, Bellinger, Chapman. They're 4 of the top 10 free agents that were out there, and they haven't signed yet. And they're waiting because they haven't heard what they thought they would get. I think Snell and Montgomery thought they're going to get 6, 7, 8-year contracts. Bellinger wanted an 8-year deal. Chapman, 5 at over $100 million. That's what they wanted. The market's not saying it's there. And I got to tell you, I know that Scott Boras has had a lot of success waiting it out, waiting for somebody to blink. I don't know. You're going to need 2 teams to blink on starting pitchers. Are you going to wait for there to be an injury in spring training? How long are you going to keep these guys out? And for Bellinger, I think at some point, if there was a team that was in, the asking price made the Giants pivot and go in a different direction, made the Blue Jays go in a different direction, bringing back Kevin Kiermaier. It's not out there for the long-term deals. Now, Scott Boras has pulled rabbits out of a hat before, but I think this time around, it's the players that are going to have to blink and take less than what they thought.
Fascinating as we sit here mid-February. Steve Phillips with the latest. Thank you, my friend.